I've been a licensed insurance agent since 2007. I stopped selling insurance in the state in 2023, and the reason why is because of the failure to properly mitigate fire in the state of California over the last decade, and a lot less mitigation than ever before the previous 2 decades. It has been the reason why insurance rates have gone up. It has been the reason why insurance companies have gone to the Department of Insurance and requested increases in premiums because they knew that there were going to be more losses. When the areas that have an extremely high propensity to burn are not being handled properly, whether that is through getting in there and raking out the dead dry brush, or doing controlled burns, or putting some type of a water irrigation system in those areas to keep those natural plants wet and keeping them from becoming dry and flammable. Those things have not been done properly by the state over the last decade. And the previous decade, they were doing less, but in the last 2 decades, they just really have not been on top of it like they used to be. And underneath the current governor of the state, who I don't even think at this point deserves to be spoken about with his name because we all know who he is, passing the buck off to local communities and thinking that that was going to create some type of safety fire plan that was going to be helpful. It wasn't. When the state fails to actually do things to prevent those dry areas from having all of that fuel to burn, you can't expect that the communities that are in and around those areas are going to be safe from fire, because fire moves. Fire moves because of wind. Fire moves on an incline more speedily than it would have on flat land. And a lot of areas in California that are now being built on because of the housing crisis are in these more hilly canyon ravine areas than they have been before. So when the state doesn't do this work and they say to these communities, hey, you guys have to do this wildfire plan for your community and you need to have defensible space, the insurance companies know that that's only a little teeny tiny piece of it. The larger piece is the surrounding areas that contribute to these massive fires that will inevitably have embers that can come up into the air and catch structures on fires and take out complete communities. So insurance companies asked for these rate increases knowing that these were going to be potential issues, and the Department of Insurance denied them. And then the insurance companies realized this is getting worse. The state's really not going to do anything about it. So they kept requesting these increases and they weren't doing it. And then they decided, you know what? This is getting too risky. We had fires, and then we have more fires, and then we have more fires. And now we're having fires, massive fires that are not really technically in the peak of fire season, taking things out. And so insurance companies have to sit and say to themselves, do I really want to be doing business here? I can't. It's one, it's not profitable. 2, we are going to let down all of our clients, and that's going to take our reputation down in all the other states that we conduct business in. It's probably better if we just get the hell out. And that's why a lot of people in the insurance industry, a lot of companies left, and a lot of insurance agents like myself quit. Like, if I can't best serve you by selling you a quality company with quality claims, with great, amazing coverage, and go to bed at night knowing if something happens to your home, you're going to be at least indemnified for it, why am I in that industry? Because that's why I got into it. I had a personal loss myself when I was a child. My parents did, and we suffered the ramifications of no insurance. And so I truly understand the benefit of it. And I understand that as an insurance company and as an agent, you want to be able to provide your clients with the best possible thing you can when you are sincerely caring about these people and what it is that you do and provide. And the state has no concern for that whatsoever. The governor has no concern for that whatsoever. And so these insurance companies left, and the ones that stayed because they don't want to take on all this risk that's left by a bunch of companies leaving, they're sitting here and they're going, oh crap, is the DOI, the Department of Insurance, going to let us continue to increase rates? Because now our risk is even more because we're taking on more of these clients in these high risk areas. Most of the state is a fire risk. And then now that we're building out in more high fire danger areas, places that are more prone because it has all of this fuel that has not been maintained, it's creating more risk to the insurance companies who are still here. And so they need to increase premiums. It's not to be mean, it's not to be greedy, it's because, oh my God, there is so much more risk. And if something happens, they want to be able to pay out. And then the insurance companies have to say to themselves, okay, well, now all these companies left, and I'm looking at taking on like 300,000 new households. And of these 300,000 households, 150,000 of them are in high fire danger areas, and we do not want to take on that much risk. So what am I going to do as an insurance company? Well, it's kind of easy. I'm going to make it hard for you to get the insurance, and I'm going to make it so that if there is a wildfire in the area, you are going to have to jump through some hoops to qualify for my policy. And those are going to be requirements like boxed-in eaves, fire retardant paint, fire suppression systems on the outside of your house, and sometimes fire sprinkler systems on the interior of your home. And I might also tell you as an insurance company, you know what? That's great. You want me to insure your house? Awesome. I'm going to require that you have an extremely high deductible because I know that it's very likely your house is going to catch on fire, and you're going to need this high deductible because the premium is going to be crazy, insane, expensive. And another caveat is I also have to insure all your homes. I'm going to have to make sure that I also insure your autos as well. But here's the kicker with your autos. You can't have any accidents, any tickets. You sure as heck cannot have any DUIs. You can't have any youthful drivers, and you can't have any elderly people driving in your household, because that all presents a high risk for us, the insurance company. And so a lot of people have not been able to get insurance because areas that were once considered low fire danger are now moderate. And areas that were once moderate are now considered high. And areas that were once high are now like extremely high risk. And so people are just paying more for insurance because of the lack of fire mitigation happening with the state. And the fact that the Department of Insurance has not squawked about it back to the governor and said, hey, you got to get this fixed because we're losing insurance companies and rates are getting out of control. And these insurance companies need to collect the premium to pay out on the claims. And then the other thing that's happening, which is really horrible, is people are just going without insurance. Or the worst case scenario, they're having to go to the California Fair Plan, which we're not sure at this point has enough money in the reserves to cover the number of policies that they were insuring for the areas with all the losses in the LA area from these fires. And that is extremely sad because these premiums with the California Fair Plan are very high. Most of the deductibles are very high. They're not always the best coverage. I can't tell you that every agent sits down and talks to their client and says, hey, your house to rebuild is X, Y, and Z dollars. We need to insure it for this amount. And the other part of the California Fair Plan is they don't go over $3 million in coverage. So if you had a really nice house that's gonna cost more than $3 million to rebuild, you probably had to go to some non-admitted carrier, and getting a non-admitted carrier to pay out sometimes can be extremely difficult. And then you get involved with public adjusters who, as an insurance agent who worked for a very reputable or had an agency with a very reputable insurance company, that never really needed a public adjuster because they were trying to fairly pay out. The word public adjuster makes us very angry because these people come in and they say, oh, the insurance company is going to try and screw you over. You're going to get less than what you're actually owed out for the rebuild. Let me come in and I will make sure to maximize it. what they essentially do is they find out what the policy max is, they try to get it, and then they take a percentage for themselves, and that is not in your best interest. If you have a quality insurance company like State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, and you had extended replacement cost or guaranteed replacement cost, these companies are going to do their best to do right by you. If you had an actual cash policy, you are more likely to get not what you need to rebuild because you did not get yourself the right type of policy. And I'm sorry if your agent didn't inform you what the difference is. This is why it's very important not to purchase your insurance from an 800 number, especially one where the agent or the salesperson is not from the state of California. You need an insurance professional who understands the risk, who understands what replacement cost is, what extended replacement cost is, what is going to happen when there is a catastrophic loss, because catastrophic losses contribute to higher costs to rebuild. So anybody who is insuring for less than the current reconstruction cost of their home is setting themselves up for failure in the state of California, because we do have such a high risk for fire danger here. Think about those things, people. And don't be mad at your insurance company because of what is going on in the state. Be mad at your leader because he has failed you and he has created this literal SHIT show that is happening right now. And the pain that is going to ensue over the next few months, years, and maybe even a decade is his fault. Some of these people did not even have insurance. They just self-insured. And not everybody can afford that. It is a travesty, and you all should be disappointed. But that's how insurance works, you guys. When your state officials are not looking out for your best interest by doing what is necessary to reduce catastrophes in your area, you are going to not have as many insurance companies available and premiums will be higher. And it's going to be harder to qualify for insurance because the insurance companies are going to want to take on less risk. Now, here's the other thing you have to think about. California already suffers earthquakes, fires, and because of fires, mudslides. So because of this situation, premiums will go up again for all Californians because of the fires, and mudslides will happen. There will be more loss, and it's going to be harder for people to qualify for the insurances that cover fire and mudslides. And that's a travesty, and he should be held accountable for failing to understand that aspect of risk management for the residents of California. He's effed you guys over, and you should be enraged. And those are the facts.